Welcome back to Mystery Cake Wednesday, where I pull a random theme from my gumball machine and then create it in cake form. The last theme that I pulled was Cheetah Girls, and it was so much fun to create a new design. This week, the theme that I pulled is Space Jam. Since everything in my gumball machine is all about nostalgia, I obviously had to go with the original Space Jam. I decided to go with a 2-tier cake, and the flavors I chose were vanilla funfetti cake with vanilla buttercream filling. I used 2 layers of 7-inch cake for the bottom tier, and for the top tier, I used 2 layers of 5-inch cake in the same flavors. After crumb coating both tiers, I placed them in the freezer for about 15 minutes, and then I started frosting my bottom tier. I wanted to go with a galaxy look for this one, so I started out by frosting this one in all black buttercream. First frosted the top, and then I smoothed out the sides. I placed this one in the freezer to chill while I frosted the top tier. For this one, I just went with an all-white buttercream base. I also placed this one to chill, and then I take out that bottom tier to start decorating. On the side, I mixed 3 really small batches of neon colors in pink, blue, and purple. I used my small spatula to smear a little bit of each of those colors on top of the cake, and I just scraped over it one more time to smooth it all out into that black color. Then I move on to the sides of the cake. I use the same technique where I get my spatula and just spread a little bit of each color one at a time. I start out with the pink, and then I use my scraper to smooth it out. I do the same thing with the blue and then the purple. It wasn't really giving galaxy just yet. Those colors were still coming on a little bit too harsh, so I smoothed it out some more. Then I repeated the process one more time, smoothing out each color one by one. I scrape off that little bit of buttercream that's sitting on top, and I wasn't fully convinced just yet, so I grabbed my airbrush and used black food coloring. I painted over that black buttercream just to sort of blur out those lines in between the colors and the black. I loved how it was looking. This is definitely more what I was going for. Then I just went in one more time with my airbrush using that bright pink, blue, and purple colors over the colors that were already on the cake just to brighten them and intensify them a little bit more. And finally, the finishing touch that will make this bottom tier look more like a galaxy. I grabbed some white food coloring and mixed it with a little bit of water to create this mixture, and then I used a fan brush to spray this all over that bottom tier. Now that the base is all done, it's time to stack the top tier. I carefully place it on top, and now I can decorate this cake. I add the Space Jam logo towards the bottom right on top of that galaxy design. And of course, I had to add Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny right next to it. I added the Monstars team to the other side. Moving on to the top tier, I add the Toon Squad logo right at the center. And just like the bottom tier, I start adding all of the Toon Squad members around it, starting out with Taz on the right side and then Lola on the other. Tweety Bird was small enough to place under that Toon Squad logo. Then I made this fondant basketball topper, and I placed it right in the middle. I placed Sniffles towards the bottom, and then I add the Roadrunner. Here's Elmer Fudd dunking the ball, and then I add Speedy Gonzales towards the front. I add Barnyard Dog to one side and then Witch Hazel to the other. I still had more of the Toon Squad to add, but I ran out of room on the sides, so I did turn some into toppers. I placed Granny towards the back, and then here's Pepe Le Pew. I couldn't forget Daffy Duck and Sylvester, so I placed them towards the front. And last but not least, I add Yosemite Sam. I loved how the cake was looking, but I thought it could use one more detail, so I decided to create that little label that says Michael's Secret Stuff. I looked up the exact image from the movie, so I used an edible marker to write on this yellow fondant to create that same font. It did take me a while, but I totally freehanded this. Then that piece of paper is attached to the bottle using some tape, so I also added those on all 4 corners. It was too perfect not to add towards the front, so I did have to scoot over those Monstars just a little bit. And last, I bagged up that black and neon colors into a piping bag to add this border. And now the Space Jam cake is all done. Here's what it looks like. As always, I'm going to be selling this first come, first serve. I hope you guys like this one.